Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbprou.com.
Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier. Excited to hang out with you once again on Tuesday evening. As you know, as a business owner, there's so many things you need to know to be able to run your business successfully. And your business can only go as far as you're prepared to lead it. So what we do with Leadership Live is really help you to build the knowledge and the leadership skills and capability so that you can move your business forward faster and easier. Each week we have great guests and special topics that can be helpful to entrepreneurs and business owners like you. And I'm glad that you're joining me. So feel free to comment, ask questions. We have someone great on the show this evening, and she's got a lot of knowledge and wisdom about something that entrepreneurs and business owners like us need to know. So tonight's topic is trademarks, what they are and how they work. And our guest is Mariessa Terrell, and she actually works with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So, I don't think we can get anyone who knows any more about patents and trademarks than her. So we're in a great spot. So let me invite her on, and then you can meet her, learn a little bit about her, and then we'll start the conversation. So, hey, Marius, how you doing this evening?
Hey, Andrew. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, thanks for joining me. I appreciate taking time out of your busy schedule, out of your evening, just to come and talk and share your expertise and knowledge with entrepreneurs and business owners.
Yeah, I'm always excited to talk about this topic. It is my absolute favorite thing to talk about. I've been talking about it for over 20 years, and so it's a treat to be here.
Okay, excellent. So, I actually had a chance to see you in action when
That's
you
right.
did a presentation for the Newark Public Library, and you shared a lot of great stuff. And I was like, we need to have her on our show. So, thanks for coming and helping to make that happen.
Yeah, my pleasure. That was a fun event. It was virtual, but I remember it stood out to me because my cousin was there, right? And it was so
That's
good to
right.
see her. So I can't forget that one.
So you had a surprise guest.
I really did.
So excellent. So, I know you at a certain level, but our audience really doesn't know you at all. So if you could take a sec to talk a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are and what you're doing.
Okay, great. Let's start with that. So, I fell in love with trademarks a long time ago. I think all the way back to law school. This was at Howard University School of Law. And I'll have to tell you, as a creative person, I consider myself a creative person. Going through law school was an interesting place to be anyway. And I was like, did well, but didn't really love any of the classes until I took trademarks. That was my last year, my last semester. And I was so glad I took that class. It was an elective. And it really resonated with me. I really enjoyed it. So when I got out of law school and I was happened to be in DC, I was a lucky girl. the place to learn about trademarks, of course, is the US Patent and Trademark Office. And that's where I started my career. And I was there for a while, and then I left, and I had a chance to work as a solo practitioner, running like a boutique firm with just me and like two paralegals. And then I ended up well, I created a division for fashion in my firm. And so I ended up doing a lot of fashion law. And then I went in house for a large defense contractor, and then another defense contractor, and then ended up teaching at Howard University School of Law. I ran their US Patent and Trademark Office trademark clinic for a while, taught fashion law there for a while, and then back in government. So it's been like a whole circle of life. But along the way, I could honestly say that I got a chance to do almost, so many different things in the legal sphere. But really, what I really love is to speak with small business owners and experienced practitioners about policies and changes in the trademark law and new systems. And that's what I get to do at the USPTO. I'm now no longer an examining attorney. Now I'm in the Office of Trademarks Customer Outreach, and that's all we do. We travel around the United States, even some of the territories, and talk about the benefits of the registration process and just trademarks, from soup to nuts. So I love it.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so you love trademarks.
I do.
I've never
So
ever heard anybody say that before.
because there's a story behind every brand, right? And we get to learn that story as we try to journey through to figure out ways to protect, right, the marks themselves. So I like the stories behind it. I like the stories in the cases. All of that's very interesting to me.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So, um, you know, definitely we've got you here from DC, and you're at the Patent Trademark Office. But you told us a little bit about you and your journey, but tell us a little bit about you outside of your journey.
Oh,
Um,
yes, of course. You can't have all work, right? There's got to be something
of
else going
course,
on with your life. Okay.
yes.
Well, I don't know if you can see in the background, but I have a little tea set. Oop, it's on this side, is it not? I have a tea set that's here. And honestly, that's representative of another part of my life, which is some work I do in the nonprofit world with the High Tea Society. It's a mentoring program that was founded by my mom. She's a retired judge in Washington, D.C. And it was founded in 97. And basically, we teach girls life skills. We teach etiquette, but more importantly, we're teaching situational awareness and critical thinking. So I invite you to follow our podcast that we have. It's called Ask Your Auntie, where teenage girls can call in with questions, and women, aunties, and men, uncles, can share experiences from high school and answer those questions. So you can find us at Ask Your Auntie on Spotify, on SoundCloud, and soon to be iTunes. So I hope you'll check us out.
Excellent. So ask your auntie.
Ask your auntie. And see, now, Andrew, now that we're getting to know each other, I know you're going to be on there as an uncle, sharing some wisdom. Ask your Uncle Andrew, for real.
Okay, I'll see what I could do.
Yes,
I might learn more than I shared, but
it
that's
could
cool.
be. Could be.
So, excellent. So, well, thank you for being here tonight. We do this show through the Small Business Pro University, which really we focus on helping entrepreneurs and business owners learn, profit, and grow. And I'm just going to show a little short video about the university so everybody knows what it is. And then we'll get back talking small business with Mariessa Terrell.
Great.
Many small businesses experience low or no revenue growth, and the owners are not making enough money. I founded the Small Business Pro University to help business owners break that cycle by empowering them with greater knowledge and enhanced skills to lead their companies more effectively. Over the past 15 years, I've worked one-on-one with more than 1,000 business owners and taught tens of thousands of people about business. My experience includes serving as a Navy officer, graduating from MIT, earning an MBA from NYU, and achieving the CFA designation. Small Business Pro University empowers entrepreneurs like you to run their businesses more professionally and create sustainable enterprises. Small Business Pro University provides access to valuable resources, partnerships, and relationships that will help you to grow revenue, increase profit, and obtain financing faster and easier. Our Masterpreneur initiatives include more than 100 expert-led multimedia courses and training programs with more than 2,500 lessons. The Small Business Pro Network, our private community for entrepreneurs. Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, our weekly live stream and podcast. Advanced Learning Institutes focused on revenue generation, profit maximization, and capital acquisition. And the Power Breakfast series, in-person events where business owners learn best practices, enjoy great networking, and gain useful knowledge. If you want to sell more and make more, you need to check out Small Business Pro University. Visit our website at www.sbprou.com.
Okay, good evening. Welcome back. I'm here with Mariessa, and we're talking small business. Tonight's topic is about trademarks, what they are and how they work. And one thing I always find is, everybody's heard the word trademark, but that doesn't mean everybody knows what a trademark is. So why don't we start there so everybody's on the same page? What's a trademark, Mariessa?
Great. Let's start at the beginning. Well, a trademark really can be just about anything, okay, provided it's used to identify the source or the maker of a product or a service, and it's used in the marketplace. Now, when I say anything, I want you to hear me. I mean anything. It could be a word, it could be a phrase, a symbol, an image, a color, a scent, a sound, the shape of a product. It's really how a customer can recognize products and service owners in the marketplace. It's how they're able to distinguish you from your competitors, how they can shout out, which product or service they want. They can use the brand to reference it. And I really like to think of them as one of the easiest ways to distinguish goods and services in a saturated marketplace. That's what a trademark is.
So pretty straightforward. But then, we hear about patents and copyrights, and those are also to protect your property. What's the difference? Why would you need a trademark versus a copyright versus a patent?
Great questions, because trademarks, really like patents and copyright, we're all talking about a type of property right? So trademarks really, well, they allow you to kind of distinguish goods and services using a brand name. Patents are a little different. Copyrights are a little different. Now, when I think about patents, and maybe when you think about patents, you think of an invention. Okay, a patent really is a type of property right that's granted by the government that lets an inventor stop others from making, using, or selling their invention without their permission for a certain period of time. It also allows an inventor to monetize their work. And if you think of a utility patent, which is the most common type of patent, that invention has to be something new, has to be something unique, something usable for a specific industry. You can think of like a chemical composition, like a pharmaceutical drug, or a mechanized process like complex machinery, or maybe even machine designs. That's a patent. Now, when you think about copyright, that's again something different. Copyright, like trademarks, like patents, is a type of property right. It's also granted by the government, but it allows an author or an artist to stop others from copying things that they create. We call what they create a created work. And you can think of that as like a drawing, a song, a movie, source code, photographs, paintings. It's protecting artwork. It has to be something that's in a tangible form. So you have this great idea for a song, you put it down in a tangible format, meaning like a digital format, or maybe even you write the notes out on paper. Now it's something tangible, and now it's something that can be protected by copyright. A fun thing about copyright is that you actually automatically have copyright protection anytime you create an original work and put it down in a tangible medium, right? You don't even technically have to register it with the Copyright Office. You have rights, pow, right at that point. And so that's what's something very interesting about copyright.
Okay, great, great. So now that we know what they are, as small business owners, why should we care? Why should we care what a trademark is, and what is it? What does it do for us?
Well, trademarks, if you think about it, if you take this all the way back to kind of like the beginning, when folks really started using trademarks, they really were thinking of them in terms of like brands on an animal or something, right? Like a cow might have a brand and it would have a specific mark on it, okay? And if someone saw that mark and they maybe wanted to either have some of that livestock or either have some of the milk or something, they would then know, they would be able to recognize this symbol and think of an owner and the owner attached, and then they would know whether they want to support this brand or not. So, fast forward, things have not changed. Trademarks are really helpful for businesses because as you build goodwill with your customers, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a shortcut way for a customer to be able to associate you with that goodwill, right? That's where the trademark comes in. Now, I think a reason why a business owner might care about this is because this type of trademark protection allows you to keep others from, or at least to have a redress if it happens, to kind of safeguard yourself from others copying all that goodwill that you've associated with this mark. There's some laws that will help you protect that. And that's where the trademark rules and regulations come in. I'm here today, hopefully, to tell you more about some of the benefits of registering your trademark with our office because it's not something that you have to do. So I think that just about every business in the United States is using a trademark. They're not always using a patent, they're not always needing a copyright protection, but everybody has a trademark.
Okay. No, that's a great point because a lot of times as small business owners, we may not think that we have intellectual property,
That's
but
right.
we really do.
Yes.
And protecting it is very important. Now, when you're talking about trademarks, there's different types or different classes. Can you talk a little bit about how that works for trademarks?
Different types and different classes, absolutely. So when you think about trademarks, I mean, let's just use one of our favorite examples, okay? The Coca-Cola brand, because all of us have encountered that brand in some form or fashion throughout our lives, okay? And one thing about trademarks, right? They're broken down into these categories of a traditional mark versus a non-traditional mark. Now, a traditional mark can be a word mark, or a design, okay, a picture or a combination. It could be a slogan. These are all like traditional marks. So if you think about Coca-Cola, you think of their word mark as the wording Coca-Cola, right? Coca-Cola. You think of the design mark, maybe their logo. You might remember in your mind the script that they use, that Coca-Cola is like a beautiful script with a hyphen in between. That could be a design because that does not change. It's almost like a JPEG that they might have uploaded someplace. That's a design mark. They have sometimes a photo of their bottle with like, some wording Coca-Cola around it, that kind of logo, traditional marks. That's one thing that you can protect. Then we have the word marks. You don't always have to use your word mark in like a script or something. You could have a standard character mark, which is another type of traditional mark. Just having that Coca-Cola with no stylization at all, you can have some protection for that. Imagine if you sought protection for a standard character mark, what you're going to have is protection to use that wording in any stylization, in any color. Okay, so there's some benefits to using a standard character mark. And when I mean standard character, I mean you just type it in, there's which is lowercase or uppercase letters. And if you were to file an application with our office seeking protection for a standard character mark, wow, you'd be able to go ahead and do that and get a lot of protection. If you were to upload like a JPEG image, like back to that logo or something that you might have, if you were to upload it in black and white, you'd have a ton of protection. You could use it in any color. If you uploaded it in color, well, you'd be limited to that color only. What else can I tell you about some of these different marks? Andrew, you might know this, that trademarks really can be more than just the wording. What I remember when I first sort of got into like trademark law, I was surprised to know that a color by itself with no wording at all can be protected as a trademark. I mean, you can think of, I think of me trying to renovate my basement right now, right? I get into the walls to replace these pipes in this old house that I'm in. In the walls, I see pink fiberglass insulation. Okay. So that color pink for use in identifying fiberglass insulation owned by Owings Corning, they're the only people that could use that color pink in that way for that product. Okay. That's their color mark. I love my red bottom shoes. Okay. I think I might have one pair, but I love them. Okay. That red bottom, that Louboutin, owned by Louboutin, Christian Louboutin, the French designer, right? That red color on the bottom of a shoe, the only person that can use that, the only company that obtained that registration in the United States, you know, they battled Yves Saint Laurent for that. They were able to retain that. You think of Tiffany blue for jewelry, wonderful marks. But I think some of my favorites are the sound ones. I wonder if you could you remember Law and Order, which is my favorite show. You know the sound? Okay, da, 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 whatever, right? That sound, that
Da-da-da.
is a sound mark. Da, da. I'm probably not even doing it right. Okay. But that is a sound mark. And when you hear that, you know what the show is going to be about. You understand like how they've been branding it. Or what about the sound of the lightsaber? I don't know if you're a Star Wars person. You know that sound that it makes when it strikes something, that zoop, zoop kind of sound? Believe it or not, that's a trademark. It's owned by Lucasfilms for use in identifying toys and Halloween costumes. Okay. What else? Smell, scent marks. Play-Doh is my favorite example. I think of my nursery class with Miss Dawkins and all the fun we had with Play-Doh. Okay. That smell owned by a Hasbro for use in identifying toys. What's interesting about trademarks is, again, it can be so many different things, but it has to identify something, a specific product or a service. So you can't just say, I want the color robin's egg blue for any and everything. It has to be attached to specific goods and services that you list in your trademark application that you file with us, right? If you're trying to register it. So it's limited in that way.
Okay. So, definitely, you're talking about examples. Um, and it's amazing the versatility that you can have and the level of protection. Of course, there's a cost that is associated with trademarks, and bigger companies have deeper pockets than us small business owners, but we still need the protection too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there some examples of things that are just not trademarkable? What can I not trademark?
Not trade something that you cannot. Well, understanding first that when you talk about trademarks, we're saying in general, just about anything can be a trademark, right? Sense, color, sound, designs, wording, even motion, like little short animated clips, or the movement of a Lamborghini door. All of these different things can be trademarked. The difference is that you want to make sure that it's something that's being used to identify specific goods and services that are offered for use in commerce, using your mark in commerce on those goods and services or in relationship to them. That's one thing that's required. But I think what I'd like to do is take a moment and explain that really your trademark rights really, you can obtain them in two ways, okay? You can either have common law rights, which are rights that begin as soon as you start using your trademark in relationship to goods and services. And then you have federal rights that begin when you register your mark with us. So those common law marks, I'll try to explain it like this. If I came up with a brand name, Butterfly, okay, that's my brand name, and I'm selling blue jeans under that brand name. As soon as I come up with that name and I put it on a label and I affix it to my jeans and I offer those jeans in commerce, okay, I'm using that mark in commerce, then all of a sudden at that time I have trademark rights. Those rights are based on common law, though, okay? And one of the drawbacks of common law rights is that they are only limited to the area. You only have protection in the area where you're using your mark. So if I'm using them in Ohio, okay, then I have protection in Ohio. If I wanted, though, to have protection outside of Ohio, maybe in some of the surrounding states, maybe as far as Washington, D.C., okay, then I want to consider obtaining nationwide protection by registering my mark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. Now, just like any application process, you're not guaranteed that just because you submit an application, it's no guarantee that you'll get registration because there are many rules and regulations to how we register marks. So when I was an examining attorney, right, I would get an application and I would look at it before just to sort of analyze it as I was doing my review. And I had a checklist, a whole page of reasons why this mark might be rejected. And I would have to run through that checklist, right? There are reasons like what if it's perhaps confusingly similar to another mark that was registered before it, or maybe if it's too descriptive, it's too weak. Maybe if it's a surname, there's so many different reasons why your mark might be derailed. So really, the question really has to do with one, are you interested in common law protection or are you interested in federal protection? That will help you determine whether something is, as you say, trademarkable. We say whether it can be registrable. Can it be registered without being refused? That's really the standard that you want if you're seeking federal protection.
Sorry about that. There's always like scary stories out there, and so I want you to, truth check a couple scenarios for me.
Okay. Uh-oh.
So, you know, one of the scenarios is someone was telling me like they had a pizza shop in New York, and then they had an employee who left and opened up a pizza shop with the same name and trademarked it, and then the original shop couldn't have the name anymore. Is that something that happens or could happen, or is that just someone making it up to make it sound scary?
It's scary. It is scary. Let me see if I can give you a good sort of a similar fact pattern that might help better sort of help us understand some of the issues there. Let's go back to my butterfly brand. Okay, my butterfly branded jean. Now, what if I was a company, right? My brand is Butterfly. I sell jeans. Let's say I've been selling those jeans since 1853. Okay, there's another big company that celebrated 200 years. I'm not talking about them. This is make believe. Okay,
All right.
here's this company, right? They've been selling this product for 200 years, but they decided that they were not going to register their trademark with our office. And instead, they operated under common law for 200 years. It might even been that maybe they, in that time, have touched almost every state in the union. That could be true, but they never registered with us. Now, if a competitor comes up in 2024, right, they pop their heads up and they say, you know what, I got a great idea. I'm going to use the word butterfly to represent jeans, and I'm going to file it with the USPTO because guess what? I noticed that this company, this original company, never filed with the USPTO. So they file their application, and if it lands on an examining attorney's desk, they will do their review. And the first thing they do is conduct a search. But their search is only of their database, only of the USPTO database, which only contains applied for marks and registered marks. So they will not see this company that's been around for 200 years. What happens? If there's no other issues, right, it is possible that this competitor could actually obtain a registration, right? And so what about this original company? Do they have any redress? What could they do? So in this instance, the competitor, although they have a registered mark, the query is, can they enforce it? And in the United States, trademark rights are based on the first to use a mark in commerce. So in actuality, this 200-year-old company who's been using their mark all along has superior rights. They would simply just have to rely on trademark rules to obtain to win in that situation because they would have superior rights. First to use in commerce has the right.
Okay.
The benefit of even taking the time to file and register, though, if you're doing it in good faith, is that at that point, you now have evidence that you have a legal presumption that you are the owner. And so if someone ever sued you, you could at least start from a point of, I have this to support what I'm saying. I have these facts to support what I'm saying. My registration is going to help me to sort of establish that I'm the owner. And that's what you can stand on. If you never filed with us, you've got to dig into your archives and find some receipts from 1853, okay, or whatever, to try to justify that you've been in use for this long. And, who knows if they have that. That's kind of like some of the benefit of trying to start that registration process as soon as you can, because you get protection across the United States and you've got some evidence to support that.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Great. Great. So you're not going to have to close up shop or rebrand yourself.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but you've got to hear all the facts, because there could be some things that could throw you off. But just based on using kind of like the scenario that I gave, where you've got continuous use for a longer period, superior rights.
Okay. Okay. Excellent. So now another scenario, if it's okay. We've got people, if you apply for a trademark, maybe you might find someone else that already has a trademark, is already using it, but you've also been using it. Does that mean you have to stop using it once you figured it out, if they had been using it before you?
Couple of things to think about. When you're trying to make a decision of whether someone else has superior rights than you want to apply this test that we have. It's called this likelihood of confusion. One of the main reasons why a trademark application could be stalled out or refused registration through our office is because it's too confusingly similar to another mark. And so before you panic, you want to do the analysis. It's a two-part test. You want to look at the marks of yours and this competitor, right? You're looking at these two marks and you're saying to yourself, are the marks similar enough? Are they similar in sound or appearance or meaning? Okay. If you got a yes to that, then you go to the next part. Are the goods and services related? Because just because marks are identical doesn't mean that there's a problem. You think of Dove soap, Dove chocolate, two registered marks. They exist on the register side by side. Nobody's concerned about a likelihood of confusion, because have you ever heard of a brand that sells chocolate and soap? Not yet. I have not. Okay. I'd have to conduct some more research if that was my case, but I have not. The very idea kind of like makes me shudder. Okay. But it could be possible. But I'm saying if you don't find the evidence, then you could say that there is no likelihood of confusion here. However, if you've got Dove for ice cream and Dove for maybe chocolate, maybe you got a problem, because you can say, I know some companies that sell ice cream and chocolate under the same brand name. Okay. So if you pass that hurdle and if you can get through that likelihood of confusion step, then you might ask yourself, okay, is there a way we can coexist? Perhaps we can do a contract that says, I will only sell in Ohio and you can have the rest of the country. Consent agreements happen all the time. So all is not lost just because you come into that type of scenario. You have to go further, because that's what litigation is all about, right? People are challenging the fact that there is no likelihood of confusion, that maybe one mark is, the consumers are not confused, and this is why, and they provide all this evidence, these surveys, all this stuff to try to establish that there's no confusion, that the markets are separate, et cetera. There's no commercial impression that is the same, et cetera, et cetera. That's where it's part of the fun, right? Depending on what side you're on.
Yeah. And how much money you have.
Right. In all honesty, Andrew, because I have represented small businesses for a large part of my career, I understand that challenge. And it's very scary when you put everything you've had into a brand and you have a bully that comes up. And sometimes that's not even based on real intel, right? Sometimes it's really just, they just want you out of the way. And so, unfortunately, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office is not an enforcement agency, so we cannot help you go after these bad actors. But you can have a registration certificate that could help you. You can also contact folks like the International Trademark Association that has pro bono services that can help you if you're in that kind of crunch situation where you've got a cease and desist, you're trying to figure out what to do. There's pro bono attorneys that can help. In every bar association in every state, they tend to have a pro bono section where the lawyers will provide assistance for free. You can contact them to maybe get some legal help, or the USPTO law school clinics, like the one that I used to manage at Howard University School of Law. They can also help with assign a student attorney to help you. But I'll tell you, when you start getting into some of this higher like litigation, it can be more difficult to get a student attorney to assist because those cases tend to take longer than a semester, right? But all is not lost. It really takes it really I would say, before you throw in the towel, see who you can find to assist you, and then contact the other party, and see what exactly it is that they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
that's a great thing because, just in business in general and in life, it's way better not to go to the court than it is to go to court.
Oh, yes. I don't know if anybody wants to go to court. Okay. I don't know.
Usually everybody loses.
Yeah, it's very expensive. Yeah, it's very expensive.
So yeah, finding a way
Yeah.
through is key.
Yeah, truly.
So now, as a small business owner, I have a limited budget. So the $1 million question is, how much does it cost? Can I afford this?
Yeah, how much does it cost? Okay, let's get into that because that's a real question too. Now, really, like this is the lawyer answer. It depends, right? It depends on a couple of different things. It depends on which type of application you choose to file. We have two. We have what's called a TEAS Plus and we have a TEAS Standard. The TEAS Plus is less expensive, so let's start with that one. It depends on what filing basis you are applying for. You know that when you file your application with us, you can file it based on use or you can file it based on intent to use, okay? If you file it based on use, well, you're going to pay just one fee up front and then some renewal fees going on forward. If you file it based on intent to use, you're going to have to pay a fee to file and then a fee at the time when you do move your application from intent to use. Because we know you don't get registered with our office unless you are able to show that you are using your mark in commerce, and that requires some evidence. Okay, so let's take it through the pricing for this TEAS Plus, our cheapest option, based on the fact that you're choosing a use-based application. So that means you have a mark, you know exactly what goods and services that you want to use that mark to identify, and you have evidence that you are using your mark right now. So that means if you are selling jeans and you're branding them Butterfly, you can give us a photograph of those jeans with a hang tag on it that has the word Butterfly. There's your proof and you're ready to go. If you're in that scenario, you're only going to pay $250 per class, okay? And if you are choosing the higher option, the standard TEAS Standard, you're going to be paying $350 per class. What do I mean by class? Well, we're government, okay? So we like to classify things in numerical categories. So we classify every good and every service in numerical categories 1 to 45. And depending on where your goods and services fall, that will let you know how many classes, okay? So let's get back to this Butterfly brand we were talking about. So if you're selling jeans, your jeans are going to be classified in class 25. So if you're filing based on TEAS Plus, that's going to be $250 so far because you have one item, jeans, and those jeans are classified in class 25. Okay, so that's $250 per class. Now, what if you're selling sneakers too? Or you're selling some sort of shoe? Well, good luck, good for you. Shoes are also classified in class 25, so we're still at $250. Okay, you got $250 right here. But what if you also want to sell perfume? Well, perfume under that brand Butterfly, okay. Perfume is classified in class 3. Now we're at 2 classes. Okay, so you're at $500, all right? And then what if you wanted to also sell sunglasses? Well, sunglasses are in class 9. We're at 3. So that's $250 times 3. You see we're moving up, moving up. Now we're at $750, okay? And then what if you wanted to have retail store services? Because maybe you're a boutique, a brick and mortar store. You wanted to put that brand name on the top of the building. Okay, well, that's 4 classes now. So that's class 35. Now we're at $1,000. Do you see what I'm saying? It does add up. And if you were maybe doing online store services, you wanted to put your mark on your website because you are selling online, like an e-commerce site. Well, that's still class 35, so we're still at 4. So that's how it's calculated. Now, if you were using the higher option, it's $350 per class. Now you might ask, well, why would anybody choose the T's standard for $350 per class if they could go with the T's plus at $250 per class? Let me tell you, that $350 application costs more because it takes more time for the examining attorney to review it. The T's Plus requires you to submit all the required information up front. Okay, so that means you have to select pre-approved wording to describe your goods and services. You have to make sure you provide some required statements up front. You basically have to give everything to the examining attorney up front. And for that privilege of just having to review it one time, you get a lower fee, $100 discount. If you want to write your own description for your goods and services, write it out freehand, it's going to be a little bit more, $350 per class. So that's part of it. Remember, I mentioned also it has something to do with your bases, whether you're intending to use your mark now or wanting to use it, or you're using the mark now or intending to use the mark in the future. Well, remember, anytime an examining attorney has to review your application multiple times, it's going to cost more money. So if you file intent to use, you know eventually you're going to have to provide use. And when you do, when you provide your evidence of use, well, if the examining attorney has to look at it again, that's $100 more, which you'll be paying $100 more. So it does begin to add up. But really, if you have just one classification of goods, you're selling, jeans, sneakers, things like that in one class, 25, your fee is going to be $250. That's it. If you file use space, meaning you're using your mark at the time. And the only time you have to pay more is once your mark registers. At that point, you pay some registration renewal fees. At that point, that means 5 years after your mark registers, you pay a renewal fee. And then every 10 years thereafter, every 10 years, you pay renewal fees. So that's trademarks. Unlike copyright, which has a duration of like the year of the author plus I think 75 years, and then patents, which is like 20 years. Trademarks can last forever, right? As long as you're continuing to use it and you pay your renewal fees. So that's how much.
Okay, excellent. So that's really not that bad.
It's not, right?
But the scary part is, if you hire an attorney, and do you have to hire an attorney? Because the attorney's fees could easily be many times what the trademark fees are. So, how does that work? Is that something that's possible to do yourself, or do you have to have an attorney? And what would it take?
Okay. I love this question because it sort of depends. Okay. Let me see if I can break this down. So basically, if you are domiciled in the United States, that means your primary residence, home residence is here in the United States, or your primary business residence where your leaders transact business predominantly. If that's in the United States, you absolutely can file this application yourself, or you can hire a U.S. attorney to do a U.S. licensed attorney. Okay. So either way, yes, you can do it by yourself if you live here in the United States. I want to caution you though, when you see these folks out here advertising that they can file a trademark for $49 and they can guarantee registration for $50, be very careful because you just heard what the fees are. They can't actually do it for $49 because it costs $250. The least it's going to cost you is $250. Okay. So you can certainly do it yourself. We recommend that you take a look at some of our resources, that you listen to interviews like this and some of our USPTO webinars, that you participate in our Trademark Basics Bootcamp, or you download some of our toolkits. Gives you all the information you need, because honestly, we do not issue refunds. So if you make a mistake, unfortunately, you don't get your money back. If you misspell your mark in your application, you don't get your money back to retry and redo. You actually are paying for the examining attorney's time to review your application, whether it's perfect or not. So you want to take your time and submit the best information you can after looking at our resources and after conducting your own search. That's so very important. Now, if money again is at issue, which let's face it, it's at issue for most of us, right? You want to be sure that you take advantage of some of the free resources I mentioned. Those student attorneys can help you conduct that search. We have libraries all over the United States where we have librarians who can walk you through the search system. We're even doing Search Week next week, June 7th, 11th, 13th. We're doing a walkthrough of the new search system. It's not so brand new anymore, but we'll walk you through some of the new bells and whistles associated with it. You can do it, but you just want to make sure that you take advantage of some of the resources beforehand. Now, if you live outside of the United States, you absolutely are required to hire a U.S. attorney. And you are not, I'll say that folks who are non-lawyers, paralegals, some of these trademark practitioners that are not barred in the United States, they cannot file a trademark application for you. Okay, it can only be a lawyer.
Okay. All right. Great. Great. So, one thing I'd have to say is I've been on your site, and you do have some great materials, and a lot of great video.
Yeah.
People don't like to read anymore, so video is helpful. So that's great to know that you don't have to have an attorney. It may take some work, but either way, you probably want to learn as much as you can about what you're trying to do, anyways. And maybe even if you hire an attorney, so you can make sure they're doing what they should do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because, Andrew, one of the things that we are so concerned about right now, and I sort of touched on it a minute ago, are these scams, right? I mean, like, isn't just about every industry is being plagued right now by these bad actors who might have just had too much time on their hands during COVID and have just been thinking of all this craziness. But one of the main things that we are recognizing is that right now there are some third parties that are doing their best to trick our customer base into thinking that they represent us or somehow related to us. And so what I've noticed and what so many other folks have noticed, and you see the statistics on our website, is that they have these crazy solicitations. Sometimes it starts off where you might reach out or a company reaches out to you to say, hey, I'll help you create a graphic for your business. And you say, super, I'll hire you to do that. Then once they have your attention, they'll say, you know what, you ever thought of registering that trademark with the USPTO? We can help you with that too. So then they begin to reel you in, asking you for money or whatever to get this done. But sometimes they never even file it for you. And they sometimes will say to you, you know what, they've rejected what I said. I need just a little bit more money and a little bit more money. And it ends up there at $10,000 super fast. Okay. You'll know that it's us because, well, listen, we never ask for money from Cash App. We never use PayPal. Okay? Everything is through our portal, which is like a couple of different verifications for you to even get in. You can always call us. You can call our Trademark Assistance Center and speak to someone if you think, is this legitimate? You can call our 1-800 number and they will be able to walk you through to determine, because everything that you file with us is publicly viewable. So that's a good thing, but it's a bad thing too, right? Because that means that people can see your emails that you have listed with your application, and they can see your address if you haven't used our mechanism to shield it. So that's how people are able to contact you once you file. And so you want to be on guard so that you don't get duped. We are very concerned about it, and we're taking a lot of steps to try to address it. We've even created a new office just to handle it called the Register Protection Office.
Okay, great. And we've got the U.S. Patent Trademark website where you can find all that information that we just talked about up on the screen, also in the chat. That's available for you. So we've been covering a lot of good stuff.
Lots of stuff.
I think that this is really important for a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. I think that, we talked about, trademark protection and how it works. And, just how important it is for entrepreneurs and business owners to understand that, there's probably things in their business they should trademark.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about the basic, the common law, and is that where you just put a TM behind what you're doing and you don't have to register it, or what does it look like for the, what do you have to do to make sure you have the common law, and what does it look like, through the process? How do you designate, which type of where you are in the process?
Great question. That's another great question. So if you are operating under common law, and common law would mean that, like that butterfly brand, you have been operating for time, simply just based on the fact that you're using your mark in commerce, okay? Not registered with us. So absolutely, you can use that TM superscript. You can even use the SM superscript, which most folks aren't using at all. The SM stands for service mark, and the TM standard for trademark. It used to be a time where trademarks were associated with goods and service marks were marks associated with services. But right now, people use TM mainly for everything. So yes, you can use that TM to let folks know that, yeah, you're using this particular mark as a trademark, that you're relying on common law rights. You have not registered it, but you want to let folks know that, yes, it is a trademark. And that's good. That's good to do that. It's good to jot down the date that you started doing that, so that you'll be aware for yourself of when that happened. You get the privilege of putting that R in the circle, though, as soon as you register your mark with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, okay? And remember, once you register it, your trademark can last forever, in perpetuity, as long as you continually use it and you register it. Now, let me make a correction. I think I misspoke a moment ago, because I said copyright lasts like the year of the author plus 75 years. It's 70 years. I want to make sure that I clearly state that so no one gets confused there. But what I'm trying to emphasize is that trademarks last even longer, right? As long as they're renewed.
All right. Okay. Great. So those are key things. Time always goes really fast when you're and, we're getting ready to come up on the hour, and we've covered a lot of great stuff. So, what I always ask my guests to do is really think about 3 key things that people should take away from our conversation. Most people can't even remember more than 3 things. So it's good to kind of, leave them with something to focus on, and something that they can even start focusing on tomorrow that can be helpful for them and for their business. So I'll give you a minute to sort of think through what that is, and then I'm just going to share a little bit of information about some events that I do. Over the past 12 plus years, I've done events. We call it the Power Breakfast, and had a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners come throughout northern New Jersey. So, what I'm going to do real quick is, note from Precious. We have our next event coming up July 26th. And it's going to be in Newark, New Jersey. It's going to be a full-day conference, and here's a little bit of information about it. We're here at the Small Business Power Breakfast and Conference. I'm excited to say that we had a great day.
This event was a wow. Every panel, every speaker has had so much amazing content and good information to share.
This is a good day to put aside to come out and do some learning, but also make some great connections. The ones that I made were impactful.
Hi, I'm Andrew Frazier, masterpreneur and founder of the Small Business Pro University. For more than 10 years, our events have directly resulted in tens of millions of dollars in both revenue and financing for attendees. Join me at the Small Business Pro Power Conference on July 26th in Newark, New Jersey to learn best practices, enjoy great networking, and gain useful knowledge. We will supercharge your day.
Hi, I'm Lana Molina, Community Outreach Liaison for Lakeland Bank. Lakeland Bank is proud to sponsor the Power Breakfast this year, actually for the entire year. We are very thrilled for this partnership to put much needed small business financial literacy education and create forums like this for entrepreneurs and small business owners to meet, interact, learn, and network.
The conference theme is Secrets to Generating More Revenue. And you don't want to miss our featured guest speaker, Precious L. Williams, the Killer Pitch Master. She will be talking about Rainmaking 101 from day one.
Good day, everyone. Hey, hey, hey. It's your girl, Precious Williams, the Killer Pitch Master, and I can't wait to see you at the Small Business Power Breakfast and Conference. Be there or be square. I know you're going to be there.
You'll also want to check out our expert panel, Creating Strategic Alliances to Drive Revenue Growth. I look forward to seeing you at the Small Business Pro Power Conference on July 26th in Newark, New Jersey. To learn more and register, visit www.sbpru.com/conference. Take advantage of our early bird pricing by registering today at www.sbpru.com/conference. Okay, welcome back. I'm here with Mariessa Terrell, and we've been talking small business. We've been talking about trademarks, what they are, how they work, and really covered a lot of great stuff. But we want to leave you with a few key things that you should be thinking about. You should take away from what we talked about today, and you should utilize going forward to help your business be more successful. So what are these three things that people should take away from our conversation tonight, Mary?
Thanks. I think so much, I've shared so much information, but really I want to kind of leave you with number one, if you want nationwide protection for your trademark, consider registering it with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. That's the only place where you'll be able to get protection in the United States. Understanding that trademark rights are territorial. So unless you register with us, you won't have protection here. Same thing with other countries. You have to register in each country. So I want to make sure I leave that with you. You want to be sure to select a mark when you're registering it that's registrable and enforceable. You want to be concerned. Think about that butterfly example that I provided for you, that you want to select a mark that's registrable, that can sell through our application process without being refused, but also that once you get that registration, that you can enforce it because you've done your due diligence and conducted your search beforehand to make sure that you're not confusingly similar to someone else who might be existing outside of our database. And the last thing I want to say is that we have the resources for you. What I mean by that, I don't care what kind of learner you are. If you are a visual learner, you like videos, you want toolkits, maybe you don't know whether you have a trademark, copyright, or a patent, go to our website, uspto.gov. You can put in events in our search bar to find out what's coming up next. You can go over to uspto.gov. You're going to look and see a banner at the top. It'll say trademarks. Go right on down and go to your far right, and you'll see more tools. Click there and you'll get a whole page that just shows you exactly what you need to know about trademarks, from our resources, our free resources, how to catch up with our law school clinics, and how to even subscribe and to attend the Trademark Basics Bootcamp. Don't be surprised if you see me in many of the videos along with my manager, Jason Lott, and many of my attorney colleagues. So hopefully this information has been helpful to you.
Okay, excellent. So, no, this has been tremendous. So nationwide protection. So the TM really gives less than I would have thought, because it's only really for your state, and it's still not really enforceable. So that's great to know. So I have a lot of things that I'm like, I need trademark, but do I want to spend the money? So I think I've moved towards maybe I'll spend the money.
Right. Okay. Right. I mean, because common law, you can enforce the rights. It's just like it's more of a burden on you to prove that you have those rights, and then that they're limited to this territory where you are. If you're selling on the online, though, you are selling. You're beginning to move beyond your jurisdiction, and so you might consider just going ahead and starting to file. You know that we've got a backlog right now, a little over 8 months. So we encourage you to get in line. Go ahead and file now, even if you're not selling right now, even if you're not offering your mark to identify goods and services right now. File intent to use, and maybe 8 months by the time it gets on examining attorney's desk, you're ready to go. Okay.
Okay, great, great. And then number two, you said that it needs to be registerable and enforceable.
Right.
And then I'll even add to that. I work with a lot of business owners, especially starting out, and you come up with your name and your logo, and you're like, "This is the greatest. I need to trademark it." But what I found is businesses evolve,
Yeah.
and the name that you originally started with might not be the name that you really want to do business under long term. And same with the logo. So, so you definitely want to give it a chance to use it and make sure that's what you want to use. Because my business name was A&J Management before it was Small Business Like a Pro. But everybody was, I do management consulting, but everybody's like, "You manage properties?" And I was getting tired of that, so I was
You're like, no.
so definitely when you're thinking about it, and then the resources, that's a great point. I mean, there's so many resources out there that entrepreneurs and business owners don't take advantage of that are free. Not only do the government's paying for this, take advantage of it. SBA pays for SCORE. They pay for the Small Business Development Center, and they're in all across the country. So look out for opportunities, especially as a small business owner. There's other things that are available too. So this has been excellent. Thank you so much, Mariessa, for joining me this evening. Anything you want to leave people with before we close out?
Just that I encourage you to please, when you visit the website uspto.gov, the simplest thing you can do is to just put in events in the search bar. Click on trademark so it can filter out all the trademark events, and you can find things that are happening, maybe even where you are, because we are all over the United States. We've got regional offices set up in all of the major regions of the United States. We are even traveling to play. I am traveling. I just got back from Kentucky. Like, I am all over the place. I might be in your neighborhood tomorrow. You don't know. So check it out, because it's really a great way to get your questions answered in real time. You're not alone in this. The Trademark Assistance Center is here. Go into the uspto.gov, put in Trademark Assistance Center. Better yet, put in help. Okay. And that 1-800 number will come up. You can speak to a real person from 8:30 in the morning to 8 p.m. at night Eastern time, and they'll be able to direct you as to where you need to go. Okay. So don't be intimidated by all the information on our website. We can give you a map to show you exactly what you need.
Okay. This has been amazing. So thanks again. We appreciate it. Hang out for a minute as I close out.
Sure.
And let's see. So, once again, I'm excited to have such a great guest and an episode. And even though we've been doing the show for 4 years, almost 200 shows, we really haven't had one specifically on trademarks that has gone into this type of depth. We've had one on intellectual property and copyrights, but this has been great. So definitely hope you took away some things. I definitely did myself as well, and that you can benefit from that. So each week we have a great guest. So next week we're going to talk about how to build a successful coaching business, and our guest is Lenny Love. And, she's an award-winning coach. So, I'm sure she'll have some great things to share. Even if you're not building a coaching business, coaching businesses are service businesses. So if you're going to be doing a service business, a lot of things are very similar. And, it's always good to just you pick up nuggets. So hopefully you'll join us then as well. And of course, at the end of the day, the more that you know, the faster and more successfully your business is going to grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 805, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.